In 1907, a doctor at a New Jersey psychiatric hospital began pulling his patients' teeth, not because they had cavities, not because they complained of pain. He pulled them because he believed, with complete scientific certainty, that the teeth were making them insane. His name was Henry Andrews Cotton, and by the time anyone thought to stop him, he had operated on thousands of patients, removed organs from hundreds more, and killed somewhere between 1 in 3 and 1 in 2 of everyone who went under his knife. He reported none of this. He called it progress. Cotton was not a fringe figure. He was not a charlatan operating in a basement. He had trained at Johns Hopkins under one of the most respected psychiatrists in the world. He ran the New Jersey State Hospital at Trenton, one of the most modern psychiatric institutions in America. He published papers. He gave lectures at Harvard. He was invited to speak in London. He was, by every institutional measure, a success. And his central theory was this: madness was not a disease of the mind, it was a disease of the body. Specifically, it was caused by bacterial infections hiding in localized pockets of the body: the teeth, the tonsils, the sinuses, the stomach, the colon. These infections, he believed, released toxins that traveled through the bloodstream and slowly poisoned the brain. The cure, therefore, was not psychological, it was surgical. Find the infection, remove it. The patient recovers. He called it focal sepsis. The medical establishment of the early 20th century called it plausible. Cotton began where everyone begins, with the mouth. He pulled teeth. First a few, then many, then systematically. Every patient admitted to Trenton had their teeth examined, those with signs of infection, and Cotton had an expansive definition of infection, had them extracted. Some patients lost 4 teeth, some lost all of them. Cotton pulled over 11,000 teeth in the first years of the program. Some patients, he noted, improved. This was the most dangerous thing that could have happened, because when a few patients improve and you believe you understand why, you do not stop, you expand. If teeth can harbor infection, so can tonsils. So Cotton removed tonsils. If tonsils, then sinuses. If sinuses, then the cervix, the gallbladder, the stomach, and finally, the operation he believed was the key to the most severe cases, the colon. Large sections of it removed entirely under general anesthesia from patients who had come to the hospital for depression or schizophrenia or what the era called nervous exhaustion. By 1921, Cotton had published a book. In it, he claimed a recovery rate of over 85%. He presented case studies. He offered data. The book was reviewed favorably in medical journals. Adolf Meyer, his former mentor at Johns Hopkins, the man who had trained him, who had sent him to Trenton, who was considered the dean of American psychiatry, read it and expressed qualified enthusiasm. What Meyer did not publish was what his own researchers found when they went to look. In 1925, Meyer sent a young psychiatrist named Phyllis Greenacre to conduct an independent review of Cotton's outcomes. She spent months at Trenton. She read the files. She traced the patients Cotton had claimed to have cured. She calculated the actual mortality rates. For patients who underwent colon surgery, the death rate was 43%. Across all surgical interventions, the death rate was approximately 30%. Nearly 1 in 3 patients who went into Henry Cotton's operating room did not come out alive. Greenacre wrote her report. It was detailed, methodical, and devastating. She submitted it to Meyer. Meyer did not publish it. He did not confront Cotton. He did not report the findings to the hospital board. He did not contact the families of the dead. He filed the report, and for years it stayed there, in a drawer, in an archive, invisible, while Henry Cotton continued operating. The reasons Meyer stayed silent are still debated. Some historians believe he feared destroying an institution he had helped build. Others believe he was protecting the reputation of American psychiatry at a moment when the field was fighting for legitimacy. What is certain is that he knew, he had the numbers, he understood what they meant, and he chose not to act. Cotton, meanwhile, continued to believe. He operated on his own sons, convinced that their behavioral problems had a bacterial origin. He had their teeth and tonsils removed. He had his own teeth pulled. He was, in the full clinical sense, a true believer. There was no cynicism in what he did, no awareness of the gap between his claims and his results. He looked at the deaths and found explanations. The infection had already spread too far. The patient had arrived too late. The surgery had not been aggressive enough. This is what made Henry Cotton more dangerous than a fraud. A fraud knows the truth and hides it. Cotton did not know. He had built a system of belief so total, so internally consistent, so supported by the institutional structures around him, that contradicting evidence simply could not reach him. Every death confirmed the theory. Every failure proved that more surgery was needed sooner. In 1930, under growing pressure from state officials who had begun hearing from families, a formal review was finally ordered. Cotton appeared before the committee. He presented his data. He spoke of cures. He remained, to the end, persuasive. The committee reduced, but did not stop the surgical program. Henry Cotton died in 1933 of a heart attack at his desk. He died believing he had revolutionized psychiatry. He died believing he had saved thousands of lives. His obituary in the New York Times described him as a pioneer. The full account of what had happened at Trenton, the death rates, the suppressed report, Meyer's silence, the thousands of teeth, the removed colons, remained buried in archives for decades. It was not until 2005, when historian Andrew Scull published a book called Madhouse, that the story was assembled in its entirety and placed before the public. By then, everyone involved was dead. What Henry Cotton's case reveals is not simply the story of a dangerous man with a scalpel. It is a study in how institutions protect themselves. Meyer had the evidence. The state had the complaints. The patients were dying on the table. And yet the system continued, because to stop it would have required admitting what it had already done. Every year the program ran made stopping it more costly. Every year of silence was another year of evidence that silence was possible. Cotton believed he was removing the source of madness from the human body. What he was actually demonstrating was how madness can operate within a system, how belief, status, and institutional silence can make catastrophic harm not only possible but celebrated. The teeth are gone, the colons are gone, the patients are gone. And the report that could have stopped it spent years in a drawer while the surgeon gave lectures at Harvard